here at ringside, and the millions watching around the world on television.
March 8, 1971. The fight of the century. A sellout crowd at Madison Square Garden. 300 million others tuning in from around the world.
I can still hear the roar that went up. All could hardly believe this was going to happen. And here it was.
Muhammad Ali in the red trunks, Joe Frazier in the green trunks. Time is important here.
Looking back,
Joe Frazier had won the fight of the century.
He would become the first $1 million fighter to manage his own career.
I can see a supermarket for my father. I can see a home for my mother. I can see myself, having my own business.
The new Sugar Ray became boxing's main event before he ever won a belt.
I didn't really say I wanted to be world champion. I said that I wanted to be special. And I worked on it. Hard.
The new champ would endure another test of willpower. Manos de piedra, hands of stone. Roberto Duran hadn't lost a fight in 8 years. 4 years after boxing his way to Olympic glory, Sugar Ray returned to Montreal with malice in his heart.
I went in there with no fear.
My brother fought the people fight, so Ray was determined to knock this guy out.
I had to let him know he wasn't the man to beat Roberto Duran.
He challenged my manhood. I got caught up in the psychological warfare. He played off me and won. My family and all those that are in my camp, they've never seen me take punches or absorb that kind of punishment. Devastated, emotionally devastated, beaten up, that even then I thought about retiring and said, you know what, I don't need this.
But Ray couldn't walk away. He demanded a rematch.
5 months later, same scenario, the same question. How are you going to fight Duran?
My brother Roger came up with the perfect plan.
In order to beat a bully, Duran was like a bully, you got to make him look stupid. And I told Ray to make a fool out of him.
A little Ali. He's taunting Duran. Look at the Ali shuffle now.
por eso el boxeo ha caído bastante hoy en día.
Nowadays, I don't think people want to pay to see a guy clown around or fool around in the ring.
Look at that.
All of a sudden, people were laughing at the great Roberto Duran.
In the 8th round, losing on all cards, Duran simply stopped fighting.
When Duran said no mas, naturally I didn't know what it meant.
Duran says no. I think he's quitting. He quit.
I started getting really bad stomach cramps. And I was like, well, you know what? There's always going to be a rematch. I gave him one. He'll give me one. So the hell with it. Let's go ahead and end it now.
The new champion, Sugar Ray Leonard.
The Ray would lost that fight, I think it would have been no Sugar Ray no more.
Despite a 31-0 record with 25 knockouts and 4 titles to his credit, many fight fans described him as having more style than substance. In September of 1999, De La Hoya sought to silence his critics when he met Felix Trinidad to unify the welterweight title.
They were number 1 and number 2, pound for pound, fighters in the world.
It was huge for both men. Deep inside, they had known for years that this confrontation was coming and would probably be the defining moment of their careers.
These were 2 young Latinos in their primes, one from Puerto Rico, one from LA. Perfect way to draw fans.
Everybody talked that week and wrote about how De La Hoya would not lose a close decision in Vegas. More than half his fights at that point had taken place in Vegas. It's his place.
Before a packed house charged with high rollers and not a few adoring women, the Golden Boy fulfilled his role as the city's major boxing attraction since Mike Tyson had fallen into general disfavor. Sticking and moving, De La Hoya was dominating.
Oscar looked beautiful. He was doing what he wanted to with Trinidad, short of knocking him out.
My trainers told me, box. You have to box. That's the way you're going to beat him. I was sticking my jab in his face anytime I wanted to. I was having a great time in that ring.
Trinidad was beaten up. Felix wasn't used to that kind of speed, and I think through 9 rounds, Oscar clearly was the winner of the fight.
In fact, I left after the 9th round to go to my television site to do my broadcast, knowing full well he'd won the fight.
Outclass is too big a word for what's happening here, but it's verging on that.
Then the unexpected happened. De La Hoya's flash, speed, and precision left him.
Oscar is just running now. He's not fighting back at all.
You couldn't understand. Why stop? I wasn't sure if he didn't want to get hit anymore or what it was. It was very, very bizarre.
Oscar De La Hoya's instincts as a fighter should have said, okay, I'm going to take this guy out. But that never happened. When it was Oscar De La Hoya's time to be able to define his greatness, he ran.
Trying to do just enough to keep Felix off of him, virtually giving away the round.
He ran out of gas, and he was running for those 3 rounds to save his life.
Trinidad is a big puncher, and Oscar knew that if he stood and traded punches with Trinidad in rounds 10, 11, and 12, he was going to get knocked out.
That was the moment that defined Oscar De La Hoya. He really wasn't prepared to step up and seize the moment and be a great fighter.
The winner by majority decision,
There was no way he won 7 rounds to win that fight. The last 3 rounds, that was backpedaling a bit, boxing. But for some reason, he got the decision.
I was never sure that Oscar really wanted to win the Trinidad fight.
In every era, there's supposed to be like 2 boxers that's supposed to really meet. Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. Me and Riddick Bowe were supposed to meet. Me and Tyson are supposed to meet. These are the boxers in my era.
What does a man do to himself when he gets ready to fight another man? Tuning the body is one thing, but getting your mind there is something else. And then you gotta go back. It doesn't matter that you're fighting some guy named Clifford Etienne, a guy you're expected to destroy. You're headed back to Memphis. Back to a place of bad memories.
Mike Tyson returning to the scene of his worst performance.
And when the week began, we weren't even sure there would be a fight. Tyson needs to win big and make a powerful statement.
Tyson risks cuts and infection by getting a tattoo on his face only 11 days before the bout.
Billions of people outside with tattoos on their face. I got a tattoo and I'm not finished. I had to stop because people were complaining. So when I get finished, then you talk about my tattoo. And this is nothing. This is not even halfway done.
He has 43 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the youngest man ever to win the heavyweight title, currently ranked the #1 contender by the WBC. Please welcome tonight's challenger, the explosive 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, introducing the one and only Iron Mike Tyson.
And hiding out of the red corner, wearing white, trimmed with red letters, and officially weighing 249 1/4 pounds. He captured Olympic gold in 1988. Now, as a professional, he has 39 victories, including 30 knockouts and 3 world titles. He has 2 defeats and a draw, all by way of rematch have been changed to victories, making him one of the few men in boxing history to have virtually defeated every man he has ever faced. Ladies and gentlemen, from London, England, presenting the 3-time world champion, the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
This is what a nightmare looks like. Mike Tyson's nightmare. It was the richest fight in boxing history. Mike Tyson wasn't ready. Lennox Lewis was. It was the night Mike Tyson hit rock bottom in the ring.
Jackie, you punk ass white boy. Come in, tell me that if I you in your ass, you punk white boy. You faggot. You can't touch me, you're not man enough. I'll eat you alive, you bitch. You hoe. Come and say to my face, you ass for everybody. You got man enough with me. You can't last 2 minutes in my world, bitch. Look at you scared now, you hoe. Scared like a little white. Scared of the real man.
Where do you go from here, Mike?
I don't know, man. I might just fade into Bolivia, you know what I mean? I don't have nowhere to go and nothing to do, you know what I mean? I used to go fly my pigeons on the roof in New York.
Heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
When I was a little kid, people used to bother me a lot, tease them. As I got older, I started fighting people back. Ever since that experience, I don't let people with me. Put your mother in the straight jacket, you punk ass white boy. Come in and tell me that if I you in your ass, you punk white boy. You faggot. You can't touch me, you're not man enough. I'll eat your alive, you bitch. You hoe. Come and say to my face, you ass for everybody. You got man enough with me. You can't last 2 minutes in my world, bitch. Look at you scared now, you hoe. Scared like a little white. Scared of the real man. I'll till you love me, faggot.
Now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world on HBO pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
They're the two best of their era, and in my opinion, if they meet, it'll be the most historically significant fight since Pernell Whitaker and Julio Cesar Chavez over 15 years ago.
Amazing knockout shot. That is the most spectacular one-punch shot of Manny Pacquiao's incredible career. Fighter! Tremendous! Clearly in the hearts of fans who love exciting boxing, Manny Pacquiao is #1 in the world.
Tell a motherfucker like this. I'm at the top. When I'm at the top, I ain't trying to look at who's behind me. I'm leading the way. Motherfucker, you gotta worry about getting in my spot.
Mayweather he's scared to lose, you know.
A possible summit meeting for #1 pound for pound between the returning Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, perhaps to take place this year.
So Floyd always says if it makes dollars, it makes sense. This makes sense. I don't think either guy is trying to avoid the other. I think they both are wary of each other, respectful of each other. But I think when they finally crunch the numbers, I think their egos can step aside and realize split it 50-50 because you're going to be splitting an all-time game.
Was that there were 4 great fighters who were basically fighting around the same weight class. Yourself, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, and Ray Leonard, and among you, you fought 9 times. These days, you know, we've got 2 guys who are considered the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Floyd Mayweather Jr. and in Manny Pacquiao, and no one knows if they will ever fight each other. Mayweather announcing this week that he's going to fight Victor Ortiz in September. But what are your thoughts about the state of boxing in the sense that we haven't been able to get these guys together yet?
Well, there's a lot more money now than what it was when I was fighting. But I believe I would like to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Get it on. I mean, just think about it. I mean, there's a $100 million fight. There's no other fighter, I think, in the world of history of boxing that ever made this kind of money. And I believe that that if they get this thing on, it can really boost up boxing and bring boxing alive a little bit, because I think that that's what we need. Either we're going to join all the titles together, whether WBC, the WBA, or the IBF, or the WBO. I mean, come on, man. Hey, let's have a box off. Let's bring back only one champion. And these are the kind of fights that we need to see. They're both experienced fighters. Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Pacquiao. So there's not really much danger in the sense of them getting hurt, because they are professional fighters.
If they end up fighting, and perhaps it's as early as next spring, what do you think happens?
Well, are you trying to say, do you want me to choose which one I want?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Mr.
I figured that's what you was trying to say. No, I think that Pacquiao, to be honest with you, I would tell you another story. You know, it's almost like a Hagler-Leonard fight, you know, in a sense. Because here's a guy that wants to dictate to another person and wants to tell you what he wants to do. You know, I want you to take a drug test and all these things or whatever, and I think that Pacquiao is right. If I decide to do one, you got to take one too. I mean, hello, who are you? Who are you? I mean, come on. If you want to fight, let's fight. Let's stop all this nonsense. Let's show the people out there. Let's give the people what they want to see, and they want to see a good fight, and hopefully that none of the fighters get hurt. You know, but the public is demanding this kind of fight, and I think it's great for boxing.
Few fighters gave the public more of what they wanted than marvelous Marvin Hagler over the course of his Hall of Fame career. Marvin, thanks so much for joining us. It sounds like you think Manny might win.
It's my pleasure being here.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, I believe so. Thank you very much.
Okay, a vote for Manny. Thank you very much.
I know you was waiting for that. Ciao, ciao. Arrivederci.
Bert Sugar's the biggest boxing expert out there. I caught up with him to have him break down the controversy between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Hear what he has to say.
What do you think, what do you make about all this controversy? Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, what's going on?
I think it's all Floyd's fault. I'll say that, and I like him immensely. He looks for anything he can get as an edge. Whether it's get in their mind, get under their skin. He views himself as the greatest fighter of all time because he's never lost. He cites Sugar Ray Robinson, he lost. Yeah, once.
Pacquiao lost?
It's a he versus Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray lost once in his first 123 fights against Jake LaMotta, reversed that 3 weeks later. That's not the point. He looks for an advantage. He thought the advantage was not only pushing Pacquiao as to the terms of the contract, the size of the ring, the weight, but also blood test. Because his father said, quote unquote, well, Pacquiao is 106 pounds, he's now 147, must be steroids. Floyd was 106 pounds when he started and is now 147. It was a slander and an unnecessary thing that he continued to play and got caught up in his mental underwear and deep sixed a promotion. He was trying to get under his skin because he's not afraid of Pacquiao. What Floyd is afraid of is losing. And here was a chance because the price went up, the odds makers in Vegas, 8-5 Pacquiao.
Wow.
And that played on him.
Well, it's a big psychological game in boxing. People don't realize how much is psychological. It's not only the physical aspect. You could be very physical, but if you're scared... No,
he's not scared of Pacquiao.
No, he's scared of losing.
He doesn't want to lose.
Let me ask you this.
That's his whole resume.
I'm Gavin Kritzman. Joining me today on Sun TV is the real deal, Evander Holyfield. One proposed fight that Don King has got involved with is Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Do you think that fight definitely has to happen for the good of the sport?
It ain't got to happen. This sport is not going to die because them two. It is a good fight that people want to see, but it just ain't going to die. You know, this game produces good fighters all the time. Good and bad have left and more come in. I mean, it is, you know, it's a good fight to see, but it ain't gonna die, you know, but it's something that people in their minds just say, you know, what would happen if these two guys fight? And I think on the smart part on both behalf, that how many times you ever gonna do something in life that you and somebody else come together, be able to generate an event, because it's an event, generate an event that you can make that much money. That known little guy in the game of boxing can never make as much money as them two guys make a decision to come together and make it. But somebody's going to get the decision, somebody's not. But you got to ask who do it favor. You know, if Floyd Mayweather don't win, it hurt him, his whole legacy. If Pacquiao don't win, it don't hurt that. He a nice guy anyway. He didn't supposed to be up there anyway. That's what people feel like. How in the world did he get up there? But he did. So, you know, you know that Floyd got more of the risk than Pacquiao. Pacquiao's a nice guy in a way. Either way it goes, Pacquiao. He's a good guy. And that's the reason it's so important to be a good guy.
On in boxing right now, what's the fight that everybody wants to see? Well, the fight that everybody wants to see is, you know, I've worked with Mayweather as a promoter for a few of his fights, many of his fights. And the fight they want to see, yes, it's Pacquiao and Mayweather. I mean, that's the fight. But I mean, ultimately, you know, they're athletes and their pride and their ego, and I feel it has to because it's so massive, it's so big. I mean, the whole world wants to watch it. I mean, you're talking about breaking records, and I mean, 1 + 1 = 4 million pay-per-view home. You know, that's how big it is. It's massive, and you know, but ultimately, it's up to Mayweather. He's his own boss, and this and that, and so he calls the shots. So,
but he's loquito, man, because he was supposed to be here, and he canceled because we asked him about Pacquiao, and he went out. He was cussing. He said, "I'm not going to do that. Why are you asking me about this?" Through the phone. I'm just telling you because I know you promote him. You might, you know,
right? No,
you might have to get Roger Mayweather in there.
No, look. Ultimately, Mayweather's a very savvy, very you know, open-minded. He understands the business and the game, and so ultimately, he knows this fight can be huge. And you know, I mean,
is it going to happen?
Me as a fighter, the competitive juices that are flowing amongst Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, it has to happen.
Okay.
There's no doubt.
All right. You heard it.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. Now, let me ask you this. You fought both people. Who can win?
I'll tell you one thing. I mean, I have to give it a toss-up because, first of all, I fought Floyd back when I was maybe, you know, I was a little younger, and it was a close fight.
Great fight.
And then I fought Pacquiao after that beating he gave me. That's when I retired. But I mean, feeling out the two guys, you know, it's a close fight. It's one of those fights where it's very competitive. That's why it's so compelling to a lot of people all over the world.
So what you're
So the guy take the decision, and I don't know if he's scared of him or not, but he just obviously doesn't want to fight the guy. Okay, that's just my opinion.
Right. Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. When I'm champion, I just want to know if I'm the best in the world. I want to fight them all. You know, I'm not ashamed not being the best in the world, but I know I gave it my best to prove that I was.
How do you explain the times of you in the sports, the times of you in the boxing, with these times? How is it comparing these times with the new times?
My time, champions fought champions. It was all about bragging rights, your legacy. Dinero, muy importante. The money, un poquito. But the money was very important, but you still fought. You still fought the best.
Mr. Ronald, what about these times? What about Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather? They are really champions?
Yes, they are. They're very gifted. But they need to fight each other to decide who is the best.
You think that's going to be possible?
Possible, yes. Will it happen anytime soon? It has to. They're 34 and 35. It should happen now.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance here at ringside and the millions watching around the world on television, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Get ready to rumble!
Tell me, are you ready? Come on, let's get ready now. Come on, baby, let's get ready. Come on, baby, let's get ready. Tell me, are you ready? Come on, let's get ready now. Tell me, are you ready? Come on, let's get ready now. Come on, baby, let's get ready.
Get
Here he is, the Tiger, Mikhailshinsky, Roy Jones Jr., the Dark Destroyer, Nigel Benn. Gentlemen, Henry Mosca. Get ready to rumble. Get ready to rumble. The winner by knockout victory